Welcome to the Checkered Shorts Podcast, a podcast of three fraternity brothers reconnected by their love of IndyCar. Join us for grid-rival IndyCar fantasy talk, predictions for upcoming races, and reactions to race day results and all things IndyCar. Let's go racing! Hey, welcome back to Checkered Shorts, episode 14. Obviously not a lot going on this week except for celebrating the big Easter holiday, so no racing to be found after filling up with I think I probably would have enjoyed to pick up my feet in a recliner and watch a race. But here we are, filming a podcast on a non-race week again. So we want to talk about standings. Yeah, we're this deep into the season, and obviously there's been some movement back and forth. Brian, do you have the standings pulled up?
Oh yeah, I did. Hold on, there we go. So yeah, give you the rundown. A lot changed last week, with what happened there. But obviously, Pillow is in the top spot, followed by Kirkwood.
34 points behind.
34 points behind for Kyle Kirkwood. 46 points behind, I think, is one of the surprises, and I think we'll get to that, is Christian Lundgaard. Another surprise, Felix Rosenquist sitting in fourth right now, 54 points back. And I think, Pat, am I right? About 50 points is about a race worth of points. Scott Dixon, Iceman is always, he's sitting in fifth now, 56 points back. Pato Award, 62 points back. Colton Herta, 69 points back. Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, and Joseph Newgarden rounding out the top 10. So Penske's in the 8, 9, and 10 slot, and they're all in that 75 to 85 points back. So about a race and a half, almost two races back at this point for those three drivers. So those are top 10 in the standings.
I think you can look at those top 10 through 12, and those are people that you talk about before the season and saying those guys can make a run at it, the more elite drivers in the field. But who has just absolutely shown out? There are definitely some teams and drivers that just you did not expect to see where they're at, or at least they're overachieving, and you're like, wow, they showed up to race and they're making a waves.
Yeah, I think I have to start with personally with Christian Lundgaard. I mean, I know that we knew he was talented. He was doing great things. He won a race for Ray Hall. But just to see like him outperforming Pato Award at this point in the season, that's saying something, because when he came in there, he was supposed to be the number 2 guy. He was taking over Alex Rossi's car, but here he is sitting third in points. And honestly, he's probably, other than Pillow, been the most consistent through the first 3 races.
I think he's arguably top dog right now. Let's see where these next few races go.
Let's not get too far out over our skis. I mean, they are separated by 16 points.
Okay, all right. No, that's fine.
And if you say, and it's certainly the consistency, but consistency over the course of 3 races is not. I don't think that's going to get your research into the Journal of Medicine with 3 case studies. So, there's a lot of season left and just 16 points behind. And really, the difference was the opening race of the season.
But Pato still kicked ass, and I don't remember what he finished, but he came nothing out of something that first race in St. Pete. He came second at Thermal. Respectable here in Long Beach. So no, you're right, but Christian's on a Hummer right now. He's ready to go.
And I think Pato admittedly will say that he doesn't like the street course.
Sure.
Even when they were talking about Long Beach and the history, he was talking about what a bumpy ride it was and how you get knocked around all race long. Now you're a pro. You're a pro, and you want to be at the top. It doesn't matter what you love or what you hate. You got to perform everywhere.
Figure it out, right? You got to figure it out. Lundgaard's been a surprise, not a surprise, but I think I've said it, and I don't want to keep saying it, but it's been good to see somebody else come up. Felix, I still don't see Felix winning a lot of races, but he could win the 500. I don't think he's finished the last 2, maybe, but I think one of them's definitely not his fault because he got tied up with Kirkwood. The one when Kirkwood Kirkwood got upside down. Actually, I think that was Felix's fault.
Yeah, that was Felix's fault, and Kirk and Kyle hit him.
Yeah. But he is a consistent driver. And then Kirkwood is, I think, showing a little bit of dominance in his Andretti team as well. Kind of the whole Pato Christian, Colton Kirkwood type of let's see where those go. So that's good for the fans, and it's good for the series for sure.
I mean, don't you kind of feel like Kirkwood is just competing at where everyone thought his potential was previously? I mean, maybe like a year delayed. People are looking at like, man, look what he's done in all these series on his way up the ladder. Definitely a self-made racer. And maybe you thought that you might see a little more from him last year, but he was, again, pretty consistently in the middle, finishing in the top 10 in most races. But no one was talking about him to be the guy most closely nipping on the heels of Palou, and here he is after 3 races.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly right. Like he's had that talent. Let's see what the oval part of the season brings, because that's where Kyle fell off a year ago. If you were right, he started off the season strong, didn't have any wins, but he was solidly in that top 5 in the points in the first half of last season, and then kind of faltered.
He won the pole at Nashville.
Yep.
I don't remember where he finished, but
so I think.
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, to see another relatable. I don't know if he's the most charismatic guy, but somebody that we all could relate to, seeing on the in the paddock and stuff like that. So Kirkwood, I'm excited for.
And realistically, with the schedule we have coming up here, who is still within striking distance based off of, I mean, you look like Kirkwood's, you got to say him, but just like Brian alluded to, last year is when you hit the oval circuit is when things, started to slack for him. And it's not like he just fell off the map or anything, but, somebody's got to step up to contend to make this thing a race towards the end.
Yeah, I think, I mentioned when I was going through the standings, I talked about those 3 Penske drivers down there and being a race and a half behind in points at this time. However, we've got the oval strength piece toward the second half of the season, and we know that's where they get strong. And so even though they're down there in 8, 9, and 10, if they can keep within striking distance and not have any more finishes in the 20s, if they can put together a string of top 5s and top 10s, until we get to oval season, as I like to call it, those guys they're definitely in reach. And I think we just talk about the idea of Christian Lundgaard and Kyle Kirkwood. I think we have to start about the fact that Scott McLaughlin has been the highest finishing Penske driver the last 2 seasons. And so, not going to take anything away from Joseph and Will Power and what they've accomplished, but Scotty Mack has put himself there as the top of that Penske lineup.
Yep. It's weird to say that each one of them have been in last place. I think Will's is actually 26th at St. Pete, but so 26th, a 27th, and a 27th for each of those drivers is Penske. Will's is, I mean, you can say it's his fault, but racing incident, the seatbelt with Newgarden, just bad luck, and Scotty Mack. So that's not typical, obviously. I mean, hell, Newgarden might win both Iowas on that weekend. I mean, a very real chance. Yeah. Scotty Mack has won there. Will Power has been on the pole there. So, I would hate to see that Palou could, top 5 them to death, which he very well could, and probably has a couple more wins in him.
Yeah, I think the question has to be, is the hole too deep? Because it's one thing to wait to where you're strong, but at the 10th position, Newgarden's 84 behind, and McLaughlin, the next on the team, the highest on the team, is 73 behind. The other guys have to also have some fall off You can't just ascend. You got to hope that those people ahead of you have some fall off.
Well, I don't think it's time to panic though. Like you
not yet.
14 races left. You're 85 points back at the most. Like, what is that? 5-6 points a race? That's a position or two. So we know Polo's not going to have those big numbers. He's going to top 10. He's going to top 5 you. But if they can, finish up there and just make sure they're edging him each race, like they're still in it.
You know what could be cool if the 500 used to be double points.
I know.
That would be, a game changer.
Yep.
But hell, Polo might win the damn thing too.
So I would take those guys and say those are the guys that I would highlight as guys that obviously can move up. And really, it's just because they are, they are racing below their pedigree to begin with. So that's all they got to do is move up. It's not like they're in last place. But for those guys, you're thinking there's no room but to go to move up.
And Polo's not going to take chances. Polo's not going to risk much, especially at this point. He's not 10 points behind. Or no, I gotta. He's a second is very good for Polo, just like it was last week.
All right, who's your wild card that's sitting back there that maybe looks like they're out of it at this point, but could make a run?
I like to joke about the fuel saving Sunday driving geriatric Scott Dixon, but there he is right there. If you look at the top 7, besides Polo, he's got all the chops.
You do realize you're older than he is, right?
I'm not in a race car.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
All right, I'll throw a name out there. And Keith, I'm surprised you didn't go here, but if Oval's coming up, we saw what Ferrucci did last year. Like that guy is.
Stop.
He's. Come on, you saw it.
I love Ferrucci.
Restarts on Oval, and we get it last season, and we haven't seen a true road course yet. And
no, that's
he was right. At Portland. He's got ovals coming. The 500. We know what he's done there. His whole entire career, he's never finished outside the top 10. So, with that Penske connection, technical alliance with Foyt, I'm not saying he's going to do it, but that's the guy that's sitting back right now that I'm like, man, that guy finished 9th last year. Let's get going. It's time.
Put your nose in there, and he'll be aggressive with it, and I do like that.
Hey, if nothing else, maybe he'll get us a yellow flag in a race.
Oh, gosh, darn, that'd be great.
He's the guy that I would say has got the dog in him. Like he is chomping at. He's like tugging on the leash. He's ready to go. That brings us to something else, though. You talk about tugging at the leash and wanting to go full force. Pat, you had mentioned there was some what do you want to say? Breaking news or like some things that just kind of perked your ears up when you heard it.
Man, it shocked. It did shock me. I listened to the Hinch and Rossi. Did you listen to this?
I did. Yep.
So my whole point is like these guys are the best race car drivers ever. That's why we've had one yellow. Like these guys are really that good, and they are really that good. But for those that listen to us and then listen to Hinch and Rossi, Rossi's like, man, we're driving at 85%. And I'm like, what? It took me back a little bit. And he explained it like with just the hybrid and the way that the cars feel. And if you push, you lose more type of thing out of the car. So he's like, now there's situations where we are running 100%. But he's like, that's the reason why we're not seeing a lot of competitiveness out of it. Which one made me really sad. But 2 opened me up. I mean, this is a race car driver in the series. He's 11th in the points saying this. I'm really glad he said it because as a fan, I'm just like, it opened my eyes just a little bit more, the good and the bad. But for a race car driver to let us know that, I thought it was important.
And is that a money thing as well? You know, you're talking about the limited number of engines you have per season,
Sure.
limited number of bodies you have. You know, is that part of the equation as well? Because, like I said, there's a couple of these guys in the series that kind of seem like they shoot from the hip. You know, they're kind of the gunslinger type mentality, and to think that they're holding up and holding back, that means there's someone above them saying, I would think, saying, you know, stay safe, keep it safe.
Sure.
Well, I don't know if it's that as much as in we talked about getting into some grievances, but like I think it's the tires. I think that.
Oh, so here we go. We're going to have our air your grievances episode. We're going to jump right into your grievances.
All right, I'm going to start with my grievance. My grievance is the tires, and let me first say that this isn't a Firestone issue. Like, I think Firestone has done what IndyCar has asked them.
Perfect.
They were supposed to create difference between the alternate and the primary, and they've done that. But when you've made that difference so drastic, then guys aren't able to put the amount of laps on the alternates that are necessary for this to truly be racing. It's become
you're not racing. You're not racing.
It's become strategy over actual up on the wheel, diving into corners, doing things like that. Yes, there needs to be a difference between the primaries and the alternates, but you've got to be able to run a stint or at least half a stint on the alternate tires. And I know it was tough. And you know, my second half of my rant is on the hybrid. Like, they threw this extra poundage onto that car, and they're not used to, you know, what the tire compound needs to be to handle that extra weight as well. But I really believe that IndyCar has dropped the ball on this whole deal. And, you know, they've got to do something. They've got to make these tires last longer, because what's happening, Keith, going back to what Alex was talking about, is those black tires aren't good enough. They don't give them the grip. And so that's why when they're spending 90% of the race on those, they can't push them. They've got to get out of the 30 laps at Long Beach that they needed. And so they're not diving into corners. They're not trying things. They're not braking hard, because those tires just can't handle that. And they've got.
I was going to say both the tires and the hybrid point probably impact that 85% that we're talking about. And then, you know, in defense of IndyCar, don't you think that it's kind of a backfire of a strategy? Because I think they want it to incorporate more strategy based. So, like, Penske can't go out there and dominate every race with the money they have and what they can put into their machine, and all of a sudden there's a whole nother layer to the racing. But to some degree, maybe it's leveled the playing field where, you know, it's kind of like boosting the bottom, but pulling back on the front to try to put them all and pack together. But then you still don't have the control and the ability to see the kind of racing we want to see. That, you know, those passing, those guys that are making multiple passes and a shootout at the end. Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to see Kiffin Simpson and Stingray Robb in 9th and 10th place just because they put on the right tires. Those two don't. I mean, I went here and you know, I hope somebody passes it on so those two are listening, but they're not to the point where they should be competing and placing ahead of some of the better drivers in the series.
Based on a good call.
A lucky call. Let's not call it even a good call. Like, they got lucky and they decided to do something that nobody else did, which was go green or go black on the first two stints of tires this last week.
Yeah, I mean, the whole you have to run them 2 laps and then you can get off them. That's what we saw in St. Pete. Like, it's like that's crap. Like, I get it, that's the rule, but you're not running. Yeah. Old fashioned. Let's, you know, elbows up. Let's go racing. When it's all said and done. Yeah. That's how, you know, this is the car that we've provided you. These are the tires we've provided you. Figure it out, race car drivers. Figure it out, managers. You know what I mean? That's how I remember when the car of tomorrow came out in NASCAR. All those guys hated it. But they didn't have anything else. Like they just had a drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So now the compound of the tires can still slightly change week to week, right? So IndyCar could make adjustments to this.
They could, but that research and development is done in the off season, and I think Firestone has kind of already designed the street tire is going to look this way, and but I would like to see some adjustments, and if that's at all possible, I would love to see that happen.
And will the blacks, will the primaries perform better on the ovals? I mean, that's yet to be seen. They're saying they're at 85% on these street and road courses, but maybe on an oval they're able to open it up.
Maybe that's fair. That's fair. We'll see what happens.
Yep. No, the tire should not be the discussion of the races and all that other good stuff.
The casual doesn't care about tires. They want to see guys racing side by side.
100%. Elbows up again. Elbows up. Let's go race. 100%.
All right. This is a true democracy. So, Pat, you get to have your voice. Let's air your grievance.
My grievance, let it be known. No, it's it has to do with Fox.
Oh, ding, 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 ding. Surprise, surprise. You're going to knock Fox again.
I think they're doing it's just the little things, the telemetry on qualifications. Again, I watch all the practice, all the qualifications. I'm sure you guys do too, but not everybody does. But I want to see that red and green of where they're at on the telemetry. I think we've hit on this. They're missing on the hybrid talk. They're missing on what tires we are on, what strategy. They're just not talking about some of the obvious stuff. But to me, the biggest is the telemetry and qualifications. I want to know exactly where Scott Dixon is from being in sixth place. I want to know if he's red or green. And if he's 2 seconds behind, okay, great. He's not going to make it. But if he's 2/1000ths of a second behind it, that second, that's what I want to know. And it's, Scott didn't make it. And that's after he crosses the line, and that's 5 seconds after. And it's just, I have no clue. But I will say,
it's suspense. That's what they want.
Well, that sucks. I will say, the whole the cartoons. I don't want to say cartoons, but showing their faces and their images along with the cars, I think is really huge. As far as, just like the NFL, you don't know what these guys look like under the helmet, especially in our brand. We have not that many followers to see these guys, but I think they can tweak it a little bit. And I think Kevin Lee, who is on the call, will, say some of this stuff too, but that's, don't call it a grievance. But yeah, it kind of makes me mad, actually, thinking back about it.
Overall, I would say Fox has been better than NBC, but it's okay to learn something from your predecessor. And I don't think that they've picked up a couple of those things that you talked about, but I'm hoping that as we get closer to Indy, that'll change, and they keep listening to what we're saying.
Well, I thought I learned, the word hybrid was just kind of thrown out there as like a catch to what's happening in the automobile industry. But last year, I thought I learned more about how the hybrid was used with what NBC did with the hybrid, which was showing when it was in use and showing what it took to regenerate it and when it was available again. And then you had a better understanding of what usefulness it had other than, hey, we're a hybrid league.
It's just going through the motions, it seems like, for Roger right now, and that's disappointing when it comes to that.
But they just had, they had to do it just for the word hybrid, to install it into this series, just to keep up with the rest of it.
Yeah. So my grievance is just that I want to watch more races, and we beat this horse to death. But as a new fan, or most people that watch sports baseball, you can catch your team's game a number of times per week. NBA, same thing. Football, besides the off week, your team is playing every Saturday, or they're on the Sunday, Monday, or Thursday schedule, and it's going to come up routinely, and it comes a part of your routine during the season. And I want to get into that routine where I'm watching a race and I don't have to think back to, oh, well, what happened at Thermal? Oh yeah, those passes that went on between Lundgaard and we'll see now. But so far back, I can't even remember. And now that back and forth between Lundgaard and Palou, and then to be watching the race and be able to go right back to that and recall it. And right now, you build up some momentum and boom, you're right back down. It's just like a roller coaster for a fan of excitement.
So my response to that, Keith, would be just be patient, because I know 2 more weeks until we see a race, but we're going to see 5 weekends in a row. You're going to go Barber, Indy Road Course, qualifying for the 500, which that's a race weekend in itself to watch.
Yeah.
The 500 and then Detroit right after that. So you're going to get a 5-week stretch that it gets in there. It's hard. I get it. It's hard to find tracks. It's hard to get sponsors and promoters to find it. I get what you're saying, though, especially to be in the season when the first 3 races or 4 races are, over a 12-week span. I heard Alex Rossi say it this week, like, it'd be great if they were every 2 weeks. And gives you a week to debrief and relax, but then jump right back in if every race was that 2 weeks. Yeah. I get it, but it's just a necessary evil, I think, when it comes to this.
They're aware of it. They understand. Like, they don't want it to be 3 weeks. You'll probably have a couple, maybe from St. Pete to a Thermal or whatever. But it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But
hopefully Dallas coming in next year will make a big difference there, or Arlington, or whatever we're calling that. As long as they don't replace that, replace Thermal with that, maybe you'll see a better shrinking of those gaps that we've got now.
I think that's all we can have. We're not expecting every week's impossible. Every other would be really cool.
But I think, another thing, though, Keith, is for those of you that get frustrated with that, is there are lots of avenues out there where you can go back and watch past races. YouTube has every race for several years out there, and you can go, as we're getting ready for a Barber, and watch the last 5 or 6 Barber races to kind of get your fill if you're looking for a race. And if you're new to the sport, like, I don't even remember who won Barber last year. I think it was McLaughlin, but I'm not sure.
Hell, Brian, I think you just gave us an assignment for the weekend, our next pod topic. What race are we all watching next weekend? And we can have a rewind post race.
Who didn't win Rockingham yesterday?
I didn't watch it.
Catherine Legg did not win Rockingham. She got wrecked.
I was about to say, because our segment was what excites you most about coming up races, and for me it was I don't see Catherine Legg on the schedule. She's not racing. She's racing. Stay over there in stock car, NASCAR.
For all the fans that do listen, and we give Catherine Legg a very hard time, she was rude to us and one of our good friends. So that is the reason why she got wrecked by, I forget the guy's name, Sawalski or something, some weird. But so I clicked on the comments. Everybody's like she's on a Sunday drive going 55, and these guys are going 155 right by her. So, but she did not win yesterday at Rockingham.
She's a very talented race car driver and has been for a long time. Wow. So I'll give her props.
What really stuck out was it was so out of character for any IndyCar driver we've ever approached.
Right.
And it was not minutes before a race. It was a practice session.
He was getting ready to qualify.
Shut up. It doesn't
she was qualify where? Qualify where?
Well, she didn't qualify well. That's true, but
guess where Santino Ferrucci is before he qualifies? Nowhere reachable to us, right? He is not approachable at that point. She was just doing her little calisthenics and, you know.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah.
But you hit a good point, Keith. IndyCar, we've said this before, how approachable IndyCar drivers are. If you're lucky enough or have spent the money to have pit access or garage access, like, feel free to ask any of those drivers. Catherine is the only bad experience. Well, I won't say the only bad. We had one with Chip, Pat. Remember?
Chip.
We did have one with Chip. Chip, you owe us. You owe us a picture.
Is Helio and I don't think it was Takumo at St. Louis, but they totally ignored us. Every single other person.
Ignoring you is still better than, are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's good. That's a good point. Dinwiddie and I had a few beers at us, and we waved every single driver down, and almost all of them turned around, and we got pictures with them. That was pretty awesome.
Except for Chip.
Chip.
But Michael Andretti had the best line because you said, "Hey, thanks for turning around and taking a picture with us." Chip wouldn't do that. Remember what Michael said?
And he said, "Take off that damn hat."
That was part of it. And he goes, when you said Chip didn't turn out, he goes, "Are you surprised?"
Chip's cart was leaning just a little bit on the back end, if you know what I mean. Yeah. What else? What else we got?
Well, I thought Brian had a little bit of a hot take with Kirkwood performing the way he is and basically performing where everyone thought he might be performing. Mm-hmm. Is he a guy who in the offseason is going to be talks of a bigger contract or a team with maybe a little deeper pocket going after him?
Yeah, so I can't remember if it was in Pruitt's mailbag or on one of the podcasts I listened to, but somebody mentioned the idea that, it's no secret that Roger is always looking for the next best, right? And he's always looking to upgrade his lineup. And, as guys get up there and it's also not a secret that Will Power is in a contract year and, could be coming to the end of his time at Penske here real soon. And so I know we have Malukas as the driver in waiting, right? And he's done some things. He's shown promise, a little bit coming up through the ladder. But then when he was with Coyne, like he put some really good oval races together. But the question kind of gets asked, like, okay, if Roger has his chance, and Will's on his way out, and he's got his choice between Baby Malukas, who still is kind of unproven, and now we've got Kyle Kirkwood, 3-time race winner, guy who can challenge for a championship.
Yeah,
I know he's under contract, and I know he's one of those guys who's always been Andretti. He probably owes, not money wise, but he owes Andretti some loyalty for what they have done to get him where he is today. But at what point do you sit and think, well, I'm on the 4th best team in IndyCar, and I've got a chance to go to the, arguably the best,
Sure.
And does Roger approach him and try to put him, like, if he can do what he's doing in an Andretti car, what can he do in a Penske car?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think a lot of those contracts are not as binding sometimes,
right?
Especially for the owners. It doesn't benefit the drivers as much as it does for the ownership. But Kirkwood is proven himself, and I don't want to say that just because he won last week, or you know what I mean. But he's still, Malukas hasn't done anything. And I'm sure Penske could be like, okay, yeah, see you, bye.
Or just keep him down at Foyt,
right.
Like he's got that technical alliance. Just keep him there and bring. Another thing I was just thinking about that was mentioned too is we keep hearing about this Andretti Cadillac. It's not Andretti, it's Taurus or whatever Formula One team, and that Colton Herta is the target for that. Well, I believe Kirkwood probably has more points toward his super license, and
yes,
could they say, you know what, Colton, we're gonna offer that to Kyle, and does Kyle become that American in Formula One?
Right. If you asked me today, I'd pick Kirkwood. Palou, I read, is like, man, I think I am essentially too old for F1 right now. Palou would be obviously everybody's top choice, but I think he's 27, 28, which is old, especially trying to get, because those first 2 years, no matter who they pick for that Andretti team, they're going to suck. Like, there's no doubt about it. You can put the best driver. It's just matter of fact, and that's just how it's going to go in F1. But Kirkwood's a shining rising star. Malukas has to do something. I believe that Will Power will get one more good solid year. I bet you he deserves it, unless he really tanks here, which I think he's right behind McLaughlin.
He's ninth right now.
Yeah, so that first race just screwed him. He hasn't qualified really well, but he'll be fine, I think. I think as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll get one more good year. That's what I think.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, we might come back with an episode where maybe we do a race reaction to an old race. We start picking some favorite races from the past. That could be a lot of fun. Yes. In addition, I think as we approach the Indianapolis 500 and some IMS events, with the road course and the qualifying and the race itself, we're going to do a little things you need to know about Speedway Indiana and Indianapolis Motor Speedway, coming from some guys that have spent some time there in the stands and roaming the streets of Speedway.
I got stories. No, looking forward to it. I would like to say that the Pacers had a nice victory yesterday. So go Pacers. Maybe play Tuesday. So that's all. Those are all my notes, I think.
Who won the F1 race today? I didn't even look.
Somebody told me was it Verstappen?
Not Captain.
No,
yeah, Oscar got him.
Yes, it was Lando's. It was a McLaren, but not Lando.
Yeah. Oscar Piastri came home for Formula One this week. So, congrats to him on, and you talk about a team that has some issues. Red Bull and Formula One. Wow, they got some. Whew.
Yeah.
Verstappen is easily the best driver in the world, but he's playing with that inferior equipment right now. So
sure, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And we'll be back with more episodes, and we hope to get a little more engagements. If you guys got questions, you're curious about coming to the first race, we'll answer those questions on a podcast.
Is that right? Or is it
Foyt?
There you go.
It's the Foyt episode.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's nice. Okay.
And I think we're going to have some future giveaways. We start getting some people to interact. We start getting a little more traction here. We've been bidding on some more IndyCar items, and we're starting to get more than we might be able to mount on our walls. So start liking, start sharing, and start commenting with some questions. And look forward to some giveaways as we approach May and we approach the season of giving, right?
We can have an official meet and greet in May.
Yeah, if anybody there you go.
It'll be 2 of us. 3 of them will be 5 of us if 2 people show up. So looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
See you, boys.
Later.